Happy Tuesday of Thanksgiving week. Thanks for getting started with us here on KCMO 95.7 FM. You can stream us when you're going to your Aunt Karen's house on the KCMO Talk Radio app. So this is a great chart that was put together yesterday, and I will share it on social media as well. And it talked about the differences between specific voting blocks in 2012 during Barack Obama's, of course, re-election, and Donald Trump in 2024. And if you go back 12 years, as you may recall, the Democratic Party thought it was in a position where it was never going to lose again. They had this strong base with working class voters, white working class, black working class, Latino working class, and they were making gains with those who were college educated. And they thought, man, we can't miss here. We are on a roll. We've got this, as America continues to diversify, I mean, we are set up to never lose again. Obama's our white knight. He's going to be our leader. And we're going to be off to the races. And then what happened 4 years later? Donald Trump won. But in 2016, it was like, well, it's just because of the white working class, the hillbilly elegy folks, as they were written about in J.D. Vance's book. We were told that was the reason. It was the really just the white working class people, and they were all racist anyway, and it was just a flash in the pan, and it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Biden wins in 20, but then Donald Trump wins 3 weeks ago today. And this is an amazing, amazing flip when you compare 2012, Obama's reelection, to 2024. And the shift in people based on their race, their education, and their age. So let's just roll down the list, start with race. From 2012 compared to 2024, black voters shifted 19 points to the right. Hispanic voters shifted 29 points to the right. Asian voters shifted 17 points towards Republicans. Now let's go to race and education. Whites without a college degree have shifted 13 points to the right from 2012 to 2024. Non-whites with a college degree shifted 21 points towards Republicans from Obama to Trump. Non-whites with no degree, so working class minorities, shifted 37 points towards Donald Trump. That's the biggest number I've given you yet. Outside of Hispanic voters, working class, non-white, no college degree have moved 37 points away from Democrats 12 years ago towards Republicans. Now, they're still favoring Democrats. They're D plus 27, but they were D plus 64 back in 2012 under Obama. And then you look at the ages. 18 to 29-year-olds have moved 14 points to the right. 30 to 44-year-olds have moved 8 points to the right. And 45 to 64-year-olds have moved 8 points to the right. Every single one of those demographics I just read to you there have shifted at least 8 points and as much as 37 points towards Republicans from Obama in 2012 to Trump in 2024. Blacks, Hispanics, Asians, whites, no degree, non-whites with a degree, non-whites without a degree, 18 to 29, 30 to 44, 45 to 64. What more do you need to hear? And Brian Williams, of all people, actually made some sense on this. That Brian Williams, you know, when he's not pretending he's jumping out of helicopters in the Middle East, he actually has the ability to make some sense. He went on with Seth Meyers the other night, and Brian Williams said this.
I think it's insulting when members of the working class, which the Democratic Party has lost entirely in our lifetimes, to insist the economy is doing great. A 12-pack of Bounty is $40. Rich folks don't feel that. Poor folks already switched to Sparkle during the COVID, during the lockdown. And I think telling them that the NASDAQ is gangbusters is further insulting. It's insulting. I think the biggest unforced error of the Biden administration by far was the border. To tell people it's not a problem is insulting. For the working class to see incoming migrants getting welcome bags, debit cards, and motel rooms is probably insulting as well. So there's a lot of work to do. You know, it was when they handed out camo hats that said Harris Walls, and the Democrats they were kind of charmed by that. Their party has gone quinoa, and the rest of America's eating at Cracker Barrel. And so it was kind of an ironic use of something millions of Americans put on their heads to start their day every day.
Quinoa versus Cracker Barrel. Easy on the Cracker Barrel jokes there, Brian Williams, but his point is well taken. And that is actually a succinct encapsulation of where the two parties are right now. He put it very well. I didn't think I'd get that from Brian Williams. That was not on my bingo card when the week started. But when someone makes sense, I will give them all the credit in the world. And he's right. It was in large part about the economy. And yes, the immigration issue is a major factor as well. Even Quentin Lucas, 2 weeks before the election, came on here and admitted that he was up in Wisconsin and he got chewed out by some old black ladies on the immigration issue. And he was like, he basically said without saying he wasn't feeling good about the prospects of Kamala Harris, anecdotally based on what he was hearing on the ground. He didn't say as much, but when he shared stories like that with us here in Kansas City, I was like, man, this thing ain't playing well for him. It's not. Between those two major issues, it was not working out well for him with working class people who shifted tremendously to the right. And the only people who held firm for the left were college-educated women, especially single ones, and those making well into the six figures. They held steady. They didn't move to the left, but they held pretty steady for him. But everybody else moved the other way. And I'll tell you right now, when you look at the trend lines, which party do you feel like is set up to win for a very long time? It is the Republican Party. Now, that can change on a dime. Just think back to 12 years ago. Barack Obama, the coalition they thought that they had built that would win them elections for generations to come. I believe I've got to find the clip. I want to say it was James Carville, the Raging Cajun, who said in 2008, after Obama won, that Democrats wouldn't lose a presidential election for like 50 years. He made some ridiculous proclamation. I can definitely try to dig it out somewhere at some point this morning. But it was insane. And when you look at how things have shifted over the last 12 years, it looks even more insane. But I'm here for it, man. I will soak up and drink those crocodile tears for as long as they'll let me on KCMO 95.7 FM. Let's go to the phones. Jonathan is in Kansas City. We were just talking about the trends dramatically to the right for all racial groups, all age groups over the last 12 years, from Obama's reelection to Donald Trump in 2024. And some smart comments by Brian Williams on Seth Meyers' show the other night. What's up, Jonathan?
Hey, so Brian Williams was talking about Cracker Barrel. Well, I'm always a big fan of their pies, and I usually get it because they make seasonal ones around this time of year for Thanksgiving, Christmas, and stuff, holidays. And okay, so before the inflation in the 2010s, it was probably $8.99, $9.99 for the pie plus tax.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I got a chocolate pecan pie. It rang out at $13.99, and then after tax, it was $15 or $16 for one pie.
Woo!
Which, if you go from $8.99 to $9.99, that's like a 50% increase. And I'm like, that's insane. And then you add it with everything else. See, I always just love it how they're like, well, it's only a couple of bucks.
Yeah, do it on a percentage. Do it on a percentage basis. That's what matters.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm looking at it here. I'm looking at the chocolate pecan pie. It's available through November 27th. Wow, that's tomorrow. It's $13.99.
Yep.
Look at that. I can order it right here from my local one in Johnson County if I want to do that. It's 4,500 calories, though, so take it easy. Oh, we lost him. But I'm looking at it right here in front of me. Wow. So he said it was $8.99 in the early 2010s. Now we're up to $13.99. So, yeah, I mean, you get done with taxes, you're talking about $16. It's crazy. Dan in Overland Park, go ahead. You're on KCMO.
Morning. Brian Williams' comments, the part that irritated me, he referred to the immigration, the 10 million people, as an unforced error. That was not an unforced error. Everybody knows it. And to that extent, Brian Williams is furthering that deceit, that lie of the Biden administration, that there was nothing they could do about that. That Biden campaigned on mass immigration back in 2020.
What if, Dan, let me ask you, an unforced error basically means they let it happen too quickly. They got too brazen with their open borders policy. What if that's what he means by an unforced error?
Well, I don't know if that changes anything.
Okay.
An interesting point, but it was deliberate. Everybody knows it, and they're a bunch of damn liars.
Well, that's it right there, Dan. A little fire in the belly, my man. That's what I need more of, brother. That's great. I love when the caller slow rolls it, and then you throw it back, and then you're like, a bunch of damn liars.
It's gone. It's out of here.
Yeah, way to knock it out of the park there, Dan. That's a home run. That's how you do it on the calls. So when I hear Brian Williams say that the immigration policies of the Biden administration was an unfair error, when I read that, I actually agree with Brian Williams and his assessment there. Because when I hear unforced error, to make like a Chiefs analogy, right? Let's say you're just running the ball down the throat of your opponent. I mean, you're just pounding it nonstop with Kareem Hunt. But you get a little greedy, right? You say, hey, the run game's working, but I'm going to go for the 50-yard bomb down the field, and you get intercepted. That's an unforced error. You knew what was working. You knew what you were trying to do, but you went for the big shot. The Biden team knew that they could probably allow illegals to continue to come into the country at a certain rate, but they went for the home run. They went for the grand slam. They went for the 50-yard bomb down the field. They got too greedy. Instead of just allowing it to kind of trickle in and trickle in and trickle in and not making it a huge issue for this election, they said, you know, we're going to blow the doors off this thing. We're going to let 10, 12, 15 million people, whatever the number is, across the border illegally, and then everybody across most socioeconomic levels, except for the wokesters, were like, yeah, this is no good. We're not going to keep doing this. We don't like this. Look at what happened in South Texas. Largely Hispanic communities that all voted blue traditionally. They all switched to red. You had counties that voted for Obama by 60 points that voted for Donald Trump by 20. It's an 80-point swing in some of these counties along the southern border that are largely Hispanic counties. And that's where I interpret Brian Williams' unforced error comment to be really a referendum on the Biden administration getting greedy with how much they thought they could do when it came to allowing people to cross the border illegally.